Hi, my name's Lindy. Welcome to the channel. My website's www.lindycowling.co.uk, email info@lindycowling.co.uk. And the first of two short videos this afternoon is entitled Worship as a Program. Worship as a Program. So for point of definition, let me just clarify what I'm referring to as worship. There is a subtle but distinct difference, both in meaning and energetically, between worship and belief and faith, really. So you can have profound faith in something, and faith that can move mountains, faith that can shift your consciousness, faith that can shift your reality, faith that can bring you more into the sovereign, authentic being that you are, a faith in yourself to overcome life's adverse circumstances, a faith in yourself, a trust in yourself that you are doing the best you can and that you are an authentic, truthful being. And there can be a faith in something. There can be a faith in something bigger than you, you being bigger in terms of your awareness and consciousness than you ever thought. You can have that faith in something outside of you, not just an inner faith, a faith in something bigger than you. So let me put this a little bit more clearly. I am a very spiritual person and always have been. But I do not follow any particular religion. So I'm very spiritual, but I don't follow any particular religion. There is a faith within me, shall we say, of something far bigger and vaster than me. Something that we originate from. A spark, a reality, a divine spark. Some people would call it the cosmos, the universe, God. Something that we originate from. And I might refer actually to that something as all of those things. That is more than us, that is us, and has our best interests at heart. Now that faith, if you like, has kept me afloat internally and externally through some devastating life circumstances. And so for the purposes of this video, why I'm clarifying this is there is a difference between a faith or a knowing in something, a difference in experiential knowing of something. So this is a channel that's an experiential channel. So I talk about and share and teach from the very human level of experiencing those things as well as working with people professionally with them. So many of the experiences I have had personally as a human being, but also in my work, have demonstrated to me the bigger picture outside of us all and the bigger cosmos and the authentic and love and joy, and some people would call it the divine, some people would call it God, a source, God, it's all the same thing. People have different names for that. So I would never, ever want to dent anybody's faith, because It is an inner strength and an inner flame that is available to all of us. And you can have that faith without pointing it into a particular direction. So I have that faith without linking it onto or wiring into the belief system or the templating or the brainwashing or programming of something that I can attribute that faith to. Like, for example, I don't have it with any particular religion, or actually any religion, and I don't have it with any cult-like scenarios or anything like that. Now, when I say I don't have it with any religion, I'm not saying that there aren't good points to some of these other things, but there is so much misinterpretation and misinformation and twisting and bending and manipulation and so many other things under the surface, like we know, like the worldwide spotlight is on all these things at the moment. There are two different things that I'm talking about here. My faith is an inner faith which is matched from internally, externally. I don't have to link it onto a worship scenario, and I never ever have. This is lifelong, it's not a new thing. So the reason I'm talking about this way is to demonstrate the difference. Now, there is a huge difference to what I'm talking about here to then a worship program. So before I go any further, I'm not saying that somebody that has a deep faith in something is wrong if they decide to worship at the altar of something, or go to the altar of something, or to a church or something that is an outlet for their bigger belief. But this is where it gets into sticky territory, because many people get lost very early on in what we call worship programs, and there is actual programming attached to the whole worship scenario. And it's not just in the religious context. I mean, worshipping an idol or worshipping anybody in any walk of life. It could be right down to the smallest, like personal or family relationship, or it could be much bigger than that, as an actual institution of some kind, or a cult of some kind, or any of these kind of things. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because really, no matter what it is, it all taps into the same programming. There is something within human beings. Now, I don't think this something was always there. I was awake early hours of this morning with all this mulling over in my head. Sometimes it happens, and suddenly I felt like then about 4:30, I need to get up and record this. And to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to get out of bed. But it's still there very strongly, so I thought I'd do it now in between client sessions. I thought I'd do it now. I don't think the something that clicks people into that programming of worship was always there. I think many, many moons ago, I don't think it was there, that worship thing. I think, and I feel quite strongly, that there was a manipulation of consciousness, or a manipulation of human DNA, or an epigenetic manipulation, or a genetic manipulation to the DNA. Now, we have a huge percentage of what's known as junk DNA. That's interesting, isn't it? Nature doesn't really provide things surplus to requirement, and if it does, it usually phases that out over a period of time. So I'll give a simple example to that, like wisdom teeth. My generation all had like wisdom teeth. A lot of the younger generations now don't ever grow wisdom teeth. It's been kind of like phased out in the human system, surplus to requirements. So I find it fascinating why there's still a huge percentage of junk DNA. Why is that then? Why? Because I don't think it was ever junk DNA. I think we were using far more strands of DNA than what we are now, and I think things were tampered with. And I think when that tampering took place, that there were certain modifications made, shall we say, to our consciousness, our DNA. You could ask me, how was this done? I'm not quite sure to explain on how it was done, but it affects consciousness. We could use the word a genetic implant. We could say a consciousness implant, a modification to consciousness, implant being the nearest word I can come to it, that encourages people towards a worshipping program, not a faith program. There's a difference. You can have profound faith in the Almighty, in God, in Christ, in Source, in the universe, in the cosmos, without being linked into a worshipping program. There is a difference, and it's a profound difference. And I feel that the worshipping program was indoctrinated and placed into the DNA or consciousness in order to get man to bend his knee to a system or systems or people over him, in order to infiltrate him essentially into a system of really modern day slavery, really. Cooperating with many corrupt systems, including education, some of them to do with religions, society, right across the board, so that man would go along with the game and cooperate, really, and be almost like, well, programmed into cooperating, where there is an acceptance of a hierarchy of structure above you, where it's almost manipulated to be outside of man, so that he looks to structures outside of him, so his employer, so the educational system, the societal system, the public system, the religious system, where he is programmed to look in other directions. And I feel it's all this worship thing is all infiltrated through all of that. So right down to people's personal relationships, the worshipping of another person, or the worshipping of a group of people, or this whole worship thing. Now we can see it. Let's do a modern day example of this. A modern day example of that would be the word celebrity. It wasn't that many years ago that we didn't have celebrities. Now they are literally worshipped. It's a huge cultural thing. I would say it's coming into a lot of countries in the world. It's certainly very strong in the West, where people go into like a worshipping like mode of someone that's a celebrity, that has gotten themselves well known one way or another, either with talent or not with talent. It doesn't really matter. Once they've got that status, they've got that status. So the whole reason I'm bringing this out is this program really stops people finding their authentic true self. If they wired into worship programs very early on. Now, it's different if the person is already authentic, already conscious, already found themselves, and they decide through their free will and free choice to involve themselves in something that they're not programmed to be involved in. It's just a free will choice. That's a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game to someone who never did have a choice in it, because they were brought up from 0 years old to affiliate through that worshipping program, and they imprinted on the worshipping program in their parents and the parents before them to follow a particular direction, a particular society, a particular system, a particular faith, all these programs. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to make the difference, because I would never want to take anybody or encourage anybody's inner faith away from them in any way, shape or form, because personally, if I didn't have that inner strength and inner faith, I wouldn't be here today. Some of the things I've been through, some of which you know about, some of which you have no idea about, I would not be here today if I didn't have that inner reserve. But that's the whole point that I'm making. That's an experiential, learned through life, authentic, truthful, honest representation of a strong drive and a strong, I would not use the word belief, because it's gone beyond that. It's a knowing, and I'm very comfortable in that knowing, because I've seen, let's say, the proof of it many times in my life, and I guess that puts me at an advantage because I have seen that and experienced that and felt that. But all of that is wrapped around what I'm talking about here now. That is very different, having that faith or knowing, as opposed to worshipping. What I would say is, someone can worship. Let's give you the clean, uncontaminated version of worship. Going down, walking along the beach, clean energy, appreciating the sea, appreciating the sand, going a walk through the woods or the forest, appreciate the trees, the woods, you know, you're having an interplay of your consciousness, the nature, it's having an interplay with you. Having appreciation or an interplay of reaction with people that are around you, people in your society, perhaps people in your family, perhaps friends. That is a clean version of it. I wouldn't call it worship, I'd call it appreciation and gratitude, really. Let's call appreciation and gratitude genuine, not making yourself feel like that. The authentic version of worship, and worship being the heavily programmed version, the programmed version. So just to clarify, I'm not saying here or advocating here or trying to push people away from something they believe in. I'm trying to point out the difference in frequency between a very strong program and the authentic, sovereign being that has faith. I nearly did a little bit of George Michael then, but I decided not to. On that note, I will love you and leave you. I was going to go straight on to do another video. I may have time if I keep it short, because I literally have a client in 20 minutes. So let's see if we can do it or not. I'll see, otherwise I'll record it after that. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the channel in all the ways you do, and me as that channel. I'm going to record another one now, and if you don't tune into that one, I wish you guys a nice weekend here in the United Kingdom. It's Easter bank holiday weekend, so it's a holiday weekend, so that will be quite nice, even though the weather forecast isn't snow but torrential rain. But hey, can't have it all. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.